Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. Accidents happen. Without the right coverage from the right insurance company, damage to your automobile can be a real financial hit. That's why Kentuckians appreciate the competitive rates and personal service they get from Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When the unexpected happens, count on us to help you get back on the road. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's been a long day. I think mine not as long as yours.
I'm hot.
It's very hot.
I'm so hot.
It's very hot. We are at the Young Farmer, the Kentucky Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Generation Bridge. Has a cool name, though. Is there like
Leadership Summit, summer outing?
Sure.
It's all mingled.
It's very cool. We're here. We have a different audio technician today.
Yeah, it's DJ Maddie over here.
Maddie, our intern, stepping up. She got to come to this conference and do this. She's also done all the work when it comes to video.
Just so people understand what an intern is. Our intern, we were with him sweating yesterday. He helped us set up. Great guy. Jordan McIntosh, shout out. We're proud of him. He's been shout out on the podcast before. On the other hand, some people manage differently. Matt is a manager, kind of a peripheral. Like, Maddie does literally everything, and Matt's like, that's really great.
You did.
You're doing a good job.
Killing it.
I had to text him to come out of the AC to help me with audio. I mean, is that what managing for longer years I will find that one day?
It's age. It's wisdom and age. You learn what real management is.
I'm doing it all wrong. I should not be sweating.
You're trying way too hard. No, I'm kidding. No, all these cables are working because of me. So I did do something. I hooked up this dude. But yeah, it's been hot. This is we're doing these podcasts here for a reason, because there is some extreme uniqueness to this conference. I've been around Farm Bureau 20-something years. Nothing to knock any of the other ones. They're all great conferences, but there's some creativity this year with what these two groups are getting to see. And what we're going to talk about today is one of those unique opportunities, right?
Yeah. So the first thing that's great about this one is we're on God's time.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about that enough. I grew up on Central Time. We have said it before. My least favorite part about Eastern Time is basketball games at 9 p.m. World Cup. Name your sport. It's late. Do you know what? We're on God's time. And I just crossed the line, and it felt good. You just feel it in your veins. And so after that happened, then we got to hang out with cattle all day.
Yeah.
And so we were doing live cattle demonstrations. Donovan Pigg and Margaret Gambert really put this thing together, but it's kind of mirroring what they do at National Cattlemen's Association with a shootout, a shoot, C-H-U-T-E, for anyone that was kind of trying to figure out what I meant. So we had a lot of vendors come in with those, but then we paired it with a lot of education. And so a fun part for me and Thompson, I'm going to shout out every member of my team today. We got to pull our dads in today. And so we have the Kevin Squared podcast.
Kevin Squared podcast is today.
Kevin Laurent and Kevin Thompson, we kind of crossed the sports barrier, got a little UT-UK action going on. And so we're going to throw them in the podcast and let them talk about why the heck they agreed to come sweat their butt off with us today.
I'm excited. So, Leah, let's go.
All right. I'm Renee Carrico.
I'm Matt Hilton.
Let's get rural. So this morning was cool. This afternoon was not, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been hot. We've talked about this on the podcast. Do we like hot? Are we hot-natured people? Are we cold-natured people? Are we today it's been a lot. It's been hot. I will say this big facility has the airflow is not bad. It's not.
We opened every dang door we could find. I walked around all morning just hitting the up button on every door. No, but it's been fun. It was kind of cool. We got to do a trial run almost in the morning. We had some local producers come in, and then this afternoon we had the Farm Bureau group. But anyway, we got Kevin and Kevin with us today. So I think to help us, I think Kevin Laurent is going to be Kevin, and Kevin Thompson is going to be KT.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we're going to be very confused.
Yes.
So thank you guys for being here. I'm going to shoot it to KT first. Tell the listeners who you are and where you came in from, what you do.
And thank you for calling me KT. That's what most of the world calls me, Renee.
Cool.
And that's what I'm known by. But I'm actually an employee of the University of Tennessee. I get the opportunity to manage 2 research and education centers. Get on I-65, head south, go through Nashville, about 35 miles. And the first one I have is Spring Hill, Tennessee, 1,265-acre facility. We run beef cattle there, do a lot of reproductive work. We do a lot of nutrition work, and we do a lot of animal behavior work, and precision livestock technology is a big part of that too. So it gives us the opportunity to work with cattle each and every day. We do a lot of other things there as well, but related to the beef cattle industry, I also have the opportunity to facilitate two great programs further south of there in Lewisburg, Tennessee, and that's the Tennessee Beef Heifer Development Program and the University of Tennessee Bull Evaluation Program there. So we get to work with beef cattle producers each and every day. We get to work directly with cattle and hopefully work with programs much like Kevin Laurent does that really focus on improving the efficiencies of beef cattle production so that we can carry on this great industry in our two great states.
Yeah.
All right, Dad, go ahead.
I thought I was going to be Kevin.
Sorry,
but I'm
Kevin.
back. All right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Kevin.
All right, let's just bring this up here. Okay, how much rest of the family we're going to get on the podcast? We had your brother, right?
Yeah, we're two in.
Yeah, we're two in. We might as well just go all in here at this point. But thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Really need to get the matriarch. She's the she's
the good one.
glue.
What are we
She's the
doing?
foundation. My better half. But anyway, I'll be a poor substitute. But anyway, no, I'm Kevin Laurent. I work with the University of Kentucky. I've been with University of Kentucky since 1991.
Yeah.
Moved here. Moved to Lexington in '91, and in '92 had a chance to move to Princeton and add beef cattle to my work responsibilities. When I first moved to Lexington, it was 100% swine, and I guess the writing was on the wall that independent swine production producers, those days were kind of numbered. It was going to go toward vertical integration, and I had a chance to add beef extension responsibilities to my job, and that was, I think it was a move I did not regret. Moving to Western Kentucky, we raised a family there. Been there again in Princeton since '92, and do basically any kind of beef extension work. Primarily do work with marketing, whether it's feeder calf sales, preconditioned feeder calf sales like the CPH sale, our bred heifer sale. I'm one of the co-coordinators of our BQCA, our Beef Quality Assurance program that we have in Kentucky. And then, and just, overall general extension, beef extension work. So,
Very cool. Yeah, I think the thing for me, and you can answer this just as much, is these conferences have been going on forever. They have really good educational things, training, networking. Why? Why is this a piece that got added to this conference? Was there an ask? Where did this come from? And obviously you guys got involved at that point, but what was the reason for this? And then how exciting is it to have an opportunity at this with these folks?
Well, I can answer how, and then I'd love for them to answer because the next piece, and that's kind of how it was formulated to be put together. We did get asked. We've got asked by both committees, both Generation Bridge and Young Farmer, to say, hey, there is a fun part of getting your family away and getting in a hotel and getting the kids to the swimming pool. And I think a lot of us rural people can relate to that. It's just as much of a vacation to be at the Holiday Inn pool as it is to go on a beach vacation for us. And so there is that part where it's really nice, but sometimes they're like, man, it is a little bit of shock. We've been on the farm 24/7 for months, and then we spend 3 full days in a hotel or 2.5 days in a hotel. And so the thought of, can we get our hands on something and not just do a farm tour? Is there one more step to see it? And so that's kind of where the idea was born, and we figured out where were we going to start this with. But I will kick it to you guys, and whichever one wants to start. I think Donovan called both of you because of what you both just said is some of the extension work you do. Maybe not only the research, but the producer-oriented work, because we were talking hands-on pretty quick. So when he was talking to you guys, why the types of things we did? Why did you find your portion of this of importance, or why did you find that to be something producers would need to see and would be helpful in every day?
you go.
Yeah, so Renee, that's a great question, and anytime I have the opportunity to speak to beef cattle producers, I take advantage of that because, as you said earlier, going to the Holiday Inn is as much a vacation as somebody else going to the beach, and people find that strange, but so having the opportunity to speak to beef cattle producers is kind of it's like an opportunity for me that's extremely relaxing and very fulfilling, and being able to achieve and hopefully help promote the industry. And to take that to a higher level, with this group of producers that you've had today and the younger people involved. So we had people here with their families. So we had a young man out there that was 2 years old watching the beef heifer selection presentation. And we had an older gentleman out there. I don't know how old he was. I wasn't going to ask that. Wouldn't be polite, would it, Kevin? But he had to be in his upper 70s. So we had a representation of the beef cattle producing and farm family out there. And so anytime we have the opportunity to meld all those together in one place and hopefully improve, and just speaking on my topic was the replacement heifer selection, just a little bit on cattle handling, to improve the environment that they can have in producing a product and enjoy it together as a family and maintain safety and set themselves up for more success in producing or selecting heifers that are hopefully going to be in the herd for many years to come, is an opportunity that I always want to take advantage of and share my opinions. Now, Kevin, as you know, my opinions aren't always right, but I'm going to give them, and I can learn just as much from the folks that we presented to today as hopefully they learn from me, and just appreciate the opportunity to be part of a really great program today.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, extension, and I'll have to give a kudos to Dr. Liptrap. He was the one who Dennis Liptrap at UK, who hired me back in '91. And he told me then, he said, we're in a people business. He says, people will be your greatest joys in this job. And he said, people are going to be your greatest frustrations too. But he says the joys will definitely outweigh the frustrations. And he could, after 30 plus years, he's as right as rain. And I tell you, we are in a people business, and it's growing up in extension, and I had extension folks in my family, and then moving on here and get into an extension job. The relationships. I just remember when we were a young family moving to Kentucky from Louisiana. I mean, it was like a foreign land, and gosh, those at the time it was all hog swine folks that we were working with. Those swine family. I mean, they just took us in. Just absolutely took us in. And I remember we were moving from Lexington to Princeton, and the muffler fell off of the tailpipe fell off of the U-Haul somewhere around E-Town, and we pulled over on the side of the road, and it was raining, and it was Mike Ovison came to the rescue. We were all wet and cold, and we got the U-Haul, got it wired up, and away we went, So and right now, I mean, when we do a lot of traveling, farm visits across the state. It's hardly, except when we get into extreme eastern Kentucky, anywhere from Lexington west, there's always someone we know. I mean, if anybody gets in trouble, there's somebody within an hour of wherever we are. And it's those relationships we have developed with producers over the years that are just invaluable, Mm-hmm. And seeing these young folks. We had Master Cattlemen this year for the first time in a while. We had let Master Cattlemen kind of lapse for a few years. And the demographic in our Master Cattlemen programs has changed. About half of those producers were young producers. And it's refreshing, It makes you feel a little old. Some of them are kids that I had, that I had on judging teams, mm-hmm. or my kids competed against in judging teams. But here they are. They've got young families. They're getting into production, and there they are, And so that kind of thing gives you hope, gives you encouragement and optimism that we're gonna continue forward. One last thing, is I think 80% of our beef cattle producers have 45 cows or less. Yep. It's still a small operation, family-oriented industry, something that the hog industry was when I first, when we had hogs when I was a kid and I first came to Kentucky. Again, that has kind of changed a little bit on the hog side, but on the beef cattle side, that is still where we're at, in independent producers, and it's just refreshing to work with folks like that,
Well, that kind of does bring me to a point. I think you both, we've talked the good, hard stuff, and I'm sure we'll get back to harder content, but I do want to talk about two of the things that I do make you both unique in what you do. And I'll start with you, Dad. It is kind of your background, and then KT, spoiler, it's going to be some of this horseback work you do around the country, and especially in the Southeast. But for you, Dad, going from it's a different type of cattle down there that you grew up with. You grew up with hogs and a lot of other things, but a different type of cattle. And so Talk through maybe the forage side of what you've gotten to do and some of the pieces that were like kind of culture shock, like, oh my gosh, this is a whole different thing. But what you've kind of honed into and really enjoyed and have gotten to share kind of the learning you got to do, getting to teach it and watch other people learn it again. I think it's kind of been a cool piece that maybe not a lot of people know.
Well, I think the biggest thing coming from the Deep South, you know, we had a lot of ear cattle, Brahman influenced cattle, F1 cattle. That was the standard, the benchmark, whatever, crossbred heifer. Anyway, in our warm season grasses, our perennial grasses, they're productive, but not very rich. Okay. And so down there, you'd have to plant ryegrass to have really high quality forage. When I moved to Kentucky, I'll never forget, Dr. Burris brought me to a farm there in Owensboro, in Don Moore's farm, and he was really into fescue and stockpiling fescue, and it just opened my eyes on what we can do with fescue. And fescue is a perennial cool season grass. We don't have to plant it every year. It's what holds Kentucky together, right? And it's got some ills, it's got some challenges, but my gosh, I mean, I couldn't believe this, you know? And so that was a transition for me to see. We were talking about that earlier, KT, about the differences in forages and how you know, we work with what we have, but Kentucky is blessed. This is being this part, Kentucky and Tennessee, we're in a unique climate zone that we can grow a lot of cool season grasses and still tap into maybe some warm season grasses to a certain extent. We're kind of in that buffer zone there, and it makes our two states very unique, you know. You put Tennessee and Kentucky together, and we're nearly a Missouri when it comes to cow numbers. And Missouri's a top 3 cow-calf state, and so it's been interesting to have that transition to appreciate what the difference in what we have here in Kentucky.
Perfect. And so, KT, the part I thought was unique for you for this area is the amount, and I think I guess the first time I met you, we were doing some stockmanship and stewardship, and y'all were having a huge conversation, you and some of the guys from out west, speaking specifically on the horseback work. Mm-hmm. And so you've gotten to do some traveling in a lot of different pieces, and one of the girls heard it earlier today. He said, sorry, I'm not used to being on foot. And they said, is he normally sitting? And I said, yeah, on a horse. So talk through maybe where that came from. I mean, you're from East Tennessee, correct?
Yep.
So how did you get into working cattle on horseback and why the passion for it and doing those kinds of things?
So the opportunity I had, you know, growing up, following my dad around, so we had the opportunity to really work on a lot of big cattle operations, ranches, farms, whatever you call them. But, you know, so we really had the opportunity to learn to utilize the horse the way the horse was truly intended to be used, and that was in a low-stress manner on moving cattle, handling cattle, sorting cattle, pinning cattle, in a very safe way for the cattle, but also a safe way for the handlers. So that's really developed over time as a young person. And I tell a lot of people, Renee, that I'm a cattle producer because I'm a horseman, and I'm a horseman because I'm a cattle producer. Mm-hmm. They go hand in hand. I have the opportunity right now to work in some of the coolest, newest technology in the beef cattle industry out there with a lot of this precision livestock technology that the University of Tennessee is implementing, and in being able to collect real-time data on reproductive traits, on nutrition growth, feed efficiency, even forage production and identification of different things. But I think we in the industry, Kentucky Farm Bureau, had the opportunity to work for 10 years with the Tennessee Farm Bureau Federation, but the university and scientists and researchers never need to forget where we came from, and things that work we need to continue to implement into the industry. And one of the most important things, I think, is the ability to be able to manage anxiety levels, stress levels, which result in cortisol and adrenaline fluxes within cattle that can be negative to the really to the animal themselves, and also to us as producers. Well, the utilization of the horse addresses those issues. Done in an appropriate manner, we can take those cattle, reduce stress, and allow the horse to be the more dominant, but really in a low stress manner. So that's another passion of mine, is to really try to teach people how to use horses again. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people out west do that, but not a lot of folks in east of the Mississippi River are doing that. And so I have the opportunity to go around a lot of different places, south, north, east, and west, and to implement that. because we really need to utilize those old technologies that work in combination with our new science-based new technologies, and because they work really good together. And just briefly, I think it's more important to look at it, or lots of times I look at it from the anxiety level of we as beef cattle producers. It's a very stressful industry, not only on ourselves, but on the family. And if we can incorporate the horse into that, because that gives us the opportunity to learn better to control our anxiety, to learn better to control our stress, then we impose that upon the cattle. But more importantly, we impose that calmer attitude on our families. So it makes the opportunity to work our cattle fun. Our kids grow up enjoying it more, and we don't holler at our sons as much when we're on horseback as if we were on foot. So
we need to get my dad a horse.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you said a lot of great stuff. It's kind of just cool too. I mean, right? Come on. We all know it's just kind of cool to be a guy riding around. I think that's a little bit of it. It's just kind of fun. You were getting there at the end, and it's a little fun.
I will say this: it's got me on UTIA's website and many pictures, all because of, I don't know if Taylor's told you about Fritz.
Fritzy girl.
Fritzy girl. It's not me that gets publicity; it's her. She's a beautiful horse, but no, it is cool and it's fun. It's a good conversation starter too, because we all need to have to really think about being proper advocates for the industry. If we're not going to brag on ourselves, who's going to? And opportunities like that give us, whether people are going to ride horses and work cattle or not, give us the opportunity to engage people that don't necessarily have an understanding and say, hey, we're doing this for the betterment of the animal, for the welfare of the animal, to produce a healthier product that we can sell at the retail level for you guys.
Yeah. Talk about, you both alluded this, your roles kind of dictate this and make you do this or have you as part of it, but the giving back element of this I think is really cool because, as a city guy, getting so involved in agriculture, being a part of Farm Bureau, the thing that continues to surprise me is that competitors are helping each other do this. Yeah. I don't know of a lot of places that necessarily your neighbor that sells the same thing, or the guy in the next county that's just as big a farm doing the same thing, or whatever. And I think that's what's neat about what we're doing, what y'all did today. And just kind of the ideas of that is why is that important, and why do you see it so much in agriculture? It's such a unique. I feel like that's probably a unique thing. I'm guessing that's not a thing that happens everywhere.
I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you. But what's interesting is your perspective.
Yeah.
And Matt, I know you from an urban background, right? Or non-agricultural background.
Yeah.
And those observations from you are very enlightening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and I guess we take that kind of stuff for granted.
Yeah.
When a neighbor is down and out, we help them, and I'm sure people in general would do that. But yeah, agriculture is pretty unique when it comes to that aspect.
Yeah.
And I don't know, are we really competing against each other? I know I want our heifer sale to a higher average than UT's heifer sale. I'm not, I've got that
That's
competitive edge.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I want their sale to be just as successful as ours.
Right.
In fact,
Absolutely.
I'll be honest with you, UT put in some stipulations in their TAPE program, which is their cost share equivalent to the CAPE program, the TAEP, Tennessee Ag Advanced Program, that we had to, they upped the ante. They required genomic enhanced EPDs on their service sires for their heifer program. Well, guess what? If UT did it, we better follow suit. And then the very next meeting I was at the table. Our consignor said, "Hey, y'all, UT's one step ahead of us. We got to catch up."
Yeah.
And so it's a friendly competition, but it's making us both better. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, like you go to different things. And don't get me wrong. There's different industries. There's training for people to get better at it, and there's all these things. There's groups like farm bureaus and these things in different industries. But I don't think it's as friendly competition. Because I'll keep the word competition in it. So I've always thought that was really neat, and that's really at heart. As a Farm Bureau person, I see why we do it. Why we want this event. But I think it's neat that so many people just step up into those scenarios. These from safety events to educational events, helping youth I think you have to, because you got to keep the industry going. I think as it just gets smaller and smaller just through the years, you got to do that. But I think maybe that's the heart of that. I don't know, but I think it's unique from what I see, and I think it's really cool that people just step up all the time. I mean, right now you could hear forklifts, and I mean, there's all kinds of people setting this room up for another thing that's happening at this conference. There was a lot of setup for this. The effort that no one saw that came in here. It's just a neat thing to see. I see it all the time. I have a cool perspective. I probably do have a perspective that's a little different, and I just really appreciate it. So it's cool that you did it today. And my question, we never really went into it in this podcast, is what did people come and see? Okay, so like if you came here today, what were some of the different things in layman's terms? Tell me what they got to see, and explain a little bit why. Who are these folks? I think a lot of these are probably cattle producers that are here for the conference, and the whole conference didn't come to this, but it was a good crowd. I mean, 60,
yeah,
70
we had
people.
almost 100 people.
Yeah, 100 people almost. Yeah. So, what did they see? We had a couple presentations, but why was this selected, and what are some of the unique things they got to see today?
One of the neatest things that I saw today was really cooperation among two states, to your previous question, and I appreciate that. So if you don't mind me answering a little bit of that before I go on to
I heard
part
a little
of the
bit of orange and blue talk.
Yeah, so
but other than that,
I just want Kevin to know and Renee to know that I left my orange bandana at the house.
And we appreciate that.
And I brought my blue bandana. But we're within this industry, we're all on the same page. We're all trying to achieve the same goal. So that's why there may be some competition, but it's only friendly. We're all on the same path to help others. And but I thought that important to say that I view Kentucky no different than I do anything else in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. We're all on the same page. But what they saw today, from my perspective, is really heifer selection, replacement heifer selection. Just a general background within the beef cattle industry, one of the most important economic aspects of that, or segments within the industry, that can either cost a lot of money or end up making us a lot of potential money, are the heifers that we choose. So we need to set ourselves up to be successful. And there's some just really quick things that I covered with the producers to give them the opportunity to cull out or remove some of the heifers that are less likely to be productive 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road within their operation. So we talked about disposition or docility and how that impacts family dynamics, how that impacts future productivity of the immune system, of nutrition, and then of reproduction. Then I talked about how the feet are very important because these cattle have to go out and they have to consume a certain amount of forage each and every day to maintain a positive nutrition status. We moved on then to really depth of body, how important it is that they have enough rumen capacity to contain that forage and begin the digestion process and maintain that positive level of nutrition so that they can be successful reproducing. Then we talked about muscle mass, and then we really finished up with some things that people don't normally think of, and that's really hair coat and how that applies to their current physiological health and then future ability to be good performers. And hopefully they took a little something home that's going to help them pick those heifers that are going to be in their herd several years down the road. And then talked about a lot of what my passion is and how to handle some cattle through a really what could be a dangerous situation and turn it into a safe, enjoyable type opportunity.
I mean, my topic today was mainly beef quality and care assurance. And in Kentucky, we added care to that acronym. The national program is National Beef Quality Assurance, or it's a BQA. Our producers are the ones who drove us to add the care, the C in our BQCA for care. Back in 2012, we had kind of a retreat, if you will, with KDA, KCA, UK, all the entities there, along with producers that were selected to come. And we had a kind of a retreat, 2-day retreat there in North Carolina, got them away from home so we could have everybody's attention. And we, and one of the programs that came from that was the cattle handling and care program. And BQA was already running. It was part of the national program. And so, but what our producers wanted to know, they said, we want to tell our story on how we're raising cattle. We don't want it to end up on CNN or whatever, or Fox News or whatever. We want, when something bad happens, we want to be proactive on letting our story be told on how we're taking care of our animals. That was unique. I mean, it wasn't a top-down thing. This was from grassroots producers telling us, y'all need to have a program for us to help us get that out. And so that cattle handling and care program came about, and we ran it 2 years on our grant, cycle. We had funding for 2 years of it. And after 2 years, Dr. Bullock and I, Dare Bullock, was running that program, and we got together. I was co-coordinator of BQA at that time, and I said, we really saying, you add the handling of vaccines and all the animal health aspect to it, to the care part of your program. We've got the total program, comprehensive program. So we added a BQCA, and so that's why we added that. And so I just think that history is kind of important, mainly because it came from our producers, and that's interesting, that it wasn't a top-down, us, the educated folks, trying to dictate how our producers, when we listen to our producers, that's our best guide a lot of times to tell us where we need to be. We may be privy to some of the new science and technology, but gosh, our producers are the one in the trenches getting it done, and and we've got to apply it. That's what's so beautiful about Extension, is trying to figure out how we can take this technology and have it applied to our producers at the producer level where it makes a difference from a profitability standpoint. So I like to lead with that, and then we talk about just the how-tos and the nuts and bolts. How do we give injections correctly? How do we follow withdrawal times whenever we're giving drugs and that kind of thing? Antibiotics for treating sick animals and that kind of thing. And then we touch on handling, and that's where we kind of overlapped a little bit, but that's okay. Safety and handling is so much important. I remember an old story. We had a long, when the Master Cattleman program started, we had a survey, and part of it was, one of the questions was, how often do you get hurt working cattle? And I'll never forget, an old man raised his hand. He says, I get hurt every time, and I'll never forget that, and he goes, and that's a problem, Yeah. And it's dangerous. It can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. And so we talk about safety. We talk about some of that. And then we had Ben Lloyd, who's a KBN, Kentucky Beef Network facilitator. He was kind of co-teaching with me. And he's a reproductive guy. He does a lot of AI work and stuff, AI meaning artificial insemination AI, on farms and whatnot. And so we talked about using some strategies, some reproductive strategies to tighten our calving season to get cattle, these heifers that KT's talking about, get them going as far as cycling and productive, and get them in their fertility cycle going to where we can get them bred. And so we touched on some of those strategies. And actually, we did some how-to on how to tail bleed, how to actually take a blood sample out of the tail, which is the most the easiest place really to get a sample, whether it be DNA testing or disease testing, or whatever, pregnancy testing, whatever the case may be. Producers can learn some of this stuff. And a lot of times putting a CEDAR in, one of our devices that helps with synchronization or tail bleeding, they may just be apprehensive to do it because they've never done it before. But when they see somebody do it, or we give them an opportunity to step up, we had several producers actually come up and try their hand at it. I mean, you make that, you bridge that, you get over that hurdle or that fear. And so
it was really neat. You saw, someone, he actually came off after he was doing the tail bleed, and he's like, that was so intimidating. I've done it before, I swear. Everybody's looking at me.
But he didn't have 40 people looking at him. But you know what? Right. He's going to go home and he'll try it. He'll try it. He won't have 40 people looking at him.
It'll be a whole lot easier with everybody staring at him. So.
Yeah, I think the hands-on part is, it's so funny. They ask for it, and then when you do ask for a volunteer, it's like crickets for a minute. They're like, I mean, we did want to, but don't make us. Like, tell them all to turn back around.
Someone else is going to do it if I just stand here long enough. Yeah.
Which we made the joke to the side. I'm the #1 worst facilitator in the sense that I definitely want to volunteer, and I will absolutely never be the volunteer. I get it. But it was neat. The part that these two facilitated were those first two sessions, and the last part is where we had the vendors come in and show them. So they had talked about how do you move cattle, and we had, shout out to Dr. Todd Freeman, honest to goodness, the calmest heifers I think I have ever loaded on a trailer. We didn't even have a wing. For anyone that knows how to load cattle, we didn't barely have a wing. We just had an open side, and we just walked them up, and they hopped right on. It was incredible. And so they got to see very calm cattle, but also they'd been worked all day. So they knew the routes. And you guys know anybody that's got old cows that know your dang working system, you're going to twist their tail more because they just don't want to go that way, not because they're ornery. And so they got to see these calm presence after being trained on all these things, and then see how they liked it worked on these different head shoot facilities and saying, oh, okay, well, I kind of dig that, or, oh, that one makes more sense for what I do on my operation. And so that was the last piece. And so that's actually where I saw more guys get their hands on, is they went down there, and after we were loading cattle out to get them back to Todd's, they were over there pulling every lever. Well, is it as easy as that guy made it look? And can you really tap that thing with your foot and pop that open? And you saw them all working. And so that's the hands-on piece that I think a lot of them were like, oh, this is what we wanted.
Well, I thought what was really cool, that was a great idea. I guess Donovan had, I'm going to give you Donovan credit for it, to have those 4 different chutes. Yeah. Those squeeze chutes is the heart of a good handling facility, right? And so we had 4 chutes, and I don't know what the prefert cost, but probably in that 8,000 range. I'm just going to guess, you know. So we had a range from probably 8,000 to 12 to 14,000. So we had a range in price points. Not everybody needs the $14,000 chute. Yeah. You know, a lot of people can get by with that prefert chute and do just fine. You know, and but there's bells and whistles and advantages, disadvantages to every one of those products. We got to demonstrate those with cattle today for people to actually see it. Where can you do that? You know, I thought that was a really cool aspect of the program. You know,
well, again, I've been to a lot of these. I've been to a lot of women's conferences, president, vice, all these different conferences that Farm Bureau puts on, and it's not like this doesn't happen. They have tours, they've done stuff through the years, but I love the hands-on stuff. I think that was really cool. Kudos to whoever thought that up. Was that you? It
was Donovan.
Oh, Donovan.
I know. With a last name like Pig, why am I giving him the cattle credit? But, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, but I just think it was really cool. And, you know, we jumped right on the idea. It was like, let's have a podcast. And Renee's like, I know a guy that can be on the podcast. And I said, yeah, let's do that. Why not? So, yeah, we're down to one family member at this point. How many we got left?
Oh, no.
We're like a herd. That old Catholic large family thing, we took her to another level. But before we wrap up, I do want to make sure we get this point in because KT hit on it, but I do think it's really cool. Another similarity you guys have is how much you guys do work across state lines, and whether that was in old roles or current roles or whatever that may be. And so, Dad, we can start with you. I know a lot of it's the West Kentucky Bred Heifer Sale, but there's other pieces that you've been able to do, and whether it was Mr. John Bartee, the late John Bartee, or whatever it may be, there's been so much cross-the-line work. It's so funny. In sports, that line's really hard. But in literally everything else in life, it's not. And so talk to us about maybe some of the collaboration we've done across state lines over your career or even the last few years and how that's changed and worked in a lot of different things.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Mr. John. Mr. John Bartee was our county agent in Montgomery County, Tennessee, which is Clarksville. And gosh, can you think of a better guy?
Good man.
I'm telling you, he was good as gold. And the time I spent with him riding in trucks, because I talk about our Kentucky heifer sale. Well, let me give you full transparency. Our Kentucky heifer sale, half of those heifers are from Tennessee. So I mean, that's a combination sale. You know, it just has Kentucky in the title, but I've spent so much time riding in the truck with Mr. John, and it was a history lesson. Everywhere we went in Tennessee, I'd park at the stockyard, I'd hop in his truck, and away we'd go to Tennessee to screen heifers. And everywhere we went, I mean, it was like you were riding with a historian. And I mean, he was, I can't say enough about the experience I had with him. And he fostered that. And some of our best consigners in our sale are Tennessee producers and just good people, good as gold. I mean, folks like Dr. Todd here in Kentucky that brought the heifers today. I mean, they try to do everything right. They stand behind their product. I do a few meetings across the line, and I feel just as comfortable going down there as I do in any meeting here, you know, in Kentucky.
Yeah. You know, to kind of add to that, the highest selling lots in last year's heifer sale that we have, and just to let you know, mimicry is the highest form of flattery, and we mimic what y'all have done with the great heifer programs and marketing that you do with the facility that we have in Lewisburg. At the end of that program, we have a replacement heifer sale, and we base a whole lot of that on a lot of success and quality and really criteria that you guys have put in place. But last year, the highest selling lots were from a producer in Kentucky. And it's not competition because we're all on the same trying to achieve the same goals. And it's just a pleasure to work with folks in Kentucky and Alabama, Georgia. We've got people come from North Carolina to consign heifers to that program. It just works so good. Speaking of University of Kentucky, Dr. Bullock comes down and meets with our genetics team for the Ag Enhancement Program, TAEP, and we work together. And I know many of you guys know Dr. Gordon. He kind of plays both sides of the fence, and he's a big part. He's a big part of that program too, and helping facilitate some of these ag enhancement programs that we do. And we copy from you guys, and you guys kind of change for some of the things that we do, because ultimately we're wanting to enable the producers to be better at what they do and have a better chance and take advantage of all opportunities. We're not in it for Kevin Laurent, or we're not in it for KT or Renee or whatever. We're in it because we want to benefit them. And I think that attitude that we have is a general agricultural attitude based around family and success for others. And there's not many industries, as you say, and said earlier, there's really no other industries out there that have that mindset. And I think we have to be, because we're such a small part of the population producing food for the rest of the population, the entirety of the population. So we have to have that attitude, and it's truly a gift to be able to work in agriculture, and it's almost a calling, a cliche kind of calling to be able to do that. So, folks that don't have the right attitude, that you see represented around this table and others, probably don't stay in agriculture that long.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to give, just because this is Young Farmer and Jim Bridge oriented, and I'm putting y'all on the spot. I didn't warn you on this one. And then I promise, I swear, I'll wrap it up. We talk to a younger generation, a lot of them, and I think Taylor and I are blessed to have dads that we do get to call and ask a lot of advice as we're trying to decide whether it's farming, whether it's life, whether it's the home, whatever it may be, kind of how do you take that next step? Is there any big advice you would give some of the age group you saw today, so 18 to 45? This cattle market's wild.
Yeah.
And I know you two, more than a lot of other people, get a lot of calls of people that are like, do I sell, do I not? Do I buy heifers, do I not? Do I retain heifers, do I not? I'm not asking you to answer those exact questions, but if there's a piece of advice that, you guys have actually, unlike my generation, I only remember the last cycle. I didn't financially live through it. So what would you guys say from your perspectives, the age y'all's had, what would be your biggest advice for people my age or the age that we're at this today, going through this wild high of a cattle cycle of maybe what's to come or how to think or how to handle?
I tell you, I think we really, truly, for a young person, it's mind-boggling if you're going to go out and let's just say you're going to go to one of our 2 heifer sales and buy 20 heifers, so to speak. I don't know if that's very practical with these price points if you're starting from scratch. If you're maintaining a herd, that's different. Say you're a young producer and you want to get started. My advice would be find an older producer and make friends with an older producer and work with or for that older producer. And maybe that might be the best entry you have into to get your foot in the door and be upfront with somebody that's been successful through those years. I think that's where you need to go. I really, truly do. If you don't have an established, if you're brand new, don't have any established farm or family operation, I would think that's, we can, there's several examples of that, and I obviously won't name names, but I can think of 4 or 5 right now of those kind of examples where young producers have gotten with experienced or established producers and got their foot in the door, and now they have a little bit of their own and they're going to grow. And I think that's probably the safest way to do it. Yeah. You may have a better perspective on this.
No. I agree with that 100%. And that's if you're starting from scratch, that's the way to do it. That's the way to approach it. But what I would suggest to a lot of these younger producers out here, that 18 to 45 age group that already have a set of cattle or just about to take over an operation, from a family member, don't sit on your laurels because the cattle prices are higher than they've ever been in your lifetime. Right now is the time to make those tough genetic selection decisions, those tough decisions to improve efficiencies on your farm. So you're going to be prepared for when the market drops, and I guarantee you it's going to drop. Dad always said the cattle market may go up, but I guarantee you it's going to come down just as fast
Right.
or faster. And if we can improve the genetics that we have to deal with, and if we can improve the equipment that we have on our operation by investing back into that now, we're going to improve the efficiencies and give ourselves that better opportunity to really perform when that market starts going down, increasing that uniformity so that we can top the market whenever it does drop. And, the cattle market is such an interesting thing, and I've had a great opportunity of my lifetime to be in most every aspect. And I spent a lot of time on the cattle marketing sector with my granddad, had 2 stockyards, and, of course, I did some work with the Tennessee Farm Bureau Federation on marketing alliances. Buyers do not look to give you premiums. What they do, they look to give you discounts. They never want to give you a premium. They always want to give you a discount. So right now is the time to focus on eliminating those potential discounts and focusing on the future when it's not as good.
And use these profits wisely. Don't just go buy the new truck.
Amen.
Use them wisely. Get your fertility up in your pastures. Get watering systems in your pasture where you can manage your forages better. Genetics, and that kind of thing. Tighten your calving seasons. I mean, there's some things that don't cost a whole lot of money that actually could have some cost share attached to them that you can do and just get more efficient. And that was the one thing I learned from the swine industry. The swine industry got so efficient in a real fast way, and I think that's a lesson we can learn. I think our independent producers can apply a lot better technology than what we have in the past. And I think we're in a new era. I think we've got younger producers that are ready to do this. Yeah. I really do. So. Yeah.
So if people are like, man, these guys are so interesting, I would love to hear more of what they do or the programming around them. Is there Facebook, websites, anything in particular, whether it's for Middle Tennessee Research or for UK Beef? Is there anything in particular that we could link? Do y'all have somebody that keeps up with that? I don't mean to judge you all, but I don't think either of you are probably the main posters of the Facebooks.
No. You want to answer that first?
We do have an associate that's hired that she does our social media presence, and
her name is not Kevin Laurent?
No, it is not Kevin Laurent, thank goodness. But anyway, Michelle Pageant does this for us, and she does a good job with it. And so we're trying to boost our Facebook presence, our social media presence. But anyway, I mean, our deal is if you can Google UK Beef Extension or UK Beef IRM, Integrated Resource Management, any of that, you should get hits that'll get you into some of that. If you're a Kentucky listener, talk to your county agent. We try our best to have a good relationship with all our county agents. Our county agents are the backbone of Extension in delivering programs, and talk to your local county agent, and they know how to get a hold of us and that kind of thing.
The easiest way to really find out a lot of our different programs is to go to UT Beef and Forage Center. Really easy, UT Beef and Forage Center. So if you're in Kentucky and you don't mind typing UT, and then follow it up with Beef and Forage Center, that'll pull up a lot of what we do, and you can follow links to the heifer replacement program, the bull evaluation program, all the wonderful things that we do there at the Middle Tennessee Research and Education, Spring Hill and Lewisburg, and a lot of different things. And just look for that red roan horse that pops up every now and then. You click on that, and you'll find a little bit more about me.
Well, thanks for both of you. I know this is kind of what you do, but also it's good that you stepped up and came out today. And I saw the impact. People were here, they were interested in listening, and got to be hands-on and learn something today, even in an industry they already probably know about. So they get to learn a little more about what they do and be better producers. So we appreciate you doing that, and appreciate you coming on the podcast. This is really cool. So we'll have you on again probably at some point. So.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah, you did too good of a job, so you're definitely going to have to come back. No, appreciate you both so much. And we appreciate you listeners. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and listen to some of those older episodes. And we will see you next time on Let's Get Rural.